Hey, good morning, everybody. It's Hammer. Today is Friday, October 24th, 2025. I, of course, am here with your Hammer Live, talking about what's going on in the mortgage world. We've got some CPI data to cover. We'll talk about next week's Fed meeting real quick, just the initial touch on it, and reiterating as we end the week that I think rates are basically capped out right now. And we would need some help from that Fed meeting next week to see that improve. So, anyway, hopefully, y'all will start hopping on. I don't see anybody on yet, but when you get here, say good morning. If you're watching on the replay, do me a favor, give me hashtag replay in the comments. Let me know that you were here. Not sure how good the quality is. The internet here is kind of spotty. I'll give you guys a quick tour as we're getting on, though. I am staying in this lovely little cabin here. This morning. We already had a nice fire going, but that's all done. So it's chilly out here this morning. I think it's in the 40s. We're right outside of Chattanooga, right in the Georgia border. So good morning. Oh, funny. It shows the names odd at Lending by Angela, at Michael Scott Love, at Raymond Stevens, at Mortgage by Yasmin. It's showing me your YouTube names. That's so odd. Well, good morning, y'all. Good morning, Yasmin, Raymond Stevens, Angela, Michael Scott, Rob Smith, Carly. Anyway, good morning, y'all. Great to have all of you here. So, let me know real quick, if you don't mind, how is the quality of the internet? It seems like we're pretty decent right now. It doesn't look as bad as I thought it might be. I was having some issues before, but maybe we're having a good little window. So, let me know in the comments. I would love to get some heads up on that. Remember that you can join me live each and every weekday morning, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time, coming to you even as we're out camping over here in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Um, if you're here, say good morning. If you are watching on the replay, don't forget, give me hashtag replay. Thank you, Carly. Carly said it is great quality. So good. All right. Well, we can ride with that then. Don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe, text, tag an hello friend, that kind of a thing. So anyway, I'm going to go in rate sheets this morning. Basically, going to be about the same as yesterday. So let me show you the screens, and we'll get into that. So we're going to go ahead and let's get started. We'll get to the good one here. So let me share my screen. All right, and I'm going to turn this off. So taking a look here, let me refresh this, and let me pull up Presentify. There you go. Okay, so we've got Happy Presentify here. You can see mortgage bonds currently up 7 basis points on the day. What you'll notice here, 101.22. We've been testing 29, 101.29, 101.30. It doesn't matter, right? But so let's say 101.30. You'll notice today, look at this, 101.30 was the high. So you can see that I have been talking about the fact that we have a line in the sand right about 101.30 here, and we keep testing it this week over and over, failing to break above it. We do have a good sign right now. We're still starting with a 3 here, but it's barely a 3. 3.99. 3.99. So yesterday, the 10-year did actually close the day at 4.00. And in the text alert yesterday, I actually said, especially ahead of the CPI data, to go ahead and lock. And, picking up 7 basis points off yesterday is not going to make any difference between yesterday's rate sheet and today. We didn't see enough movement weak yesterday to cause reprices worse. But if you notice, it did move down. So pricing came out right about here. We're right about at that same level right now. It's just a hair lower. But yesterday, like I said, you can see it here. We were mortgage-backed securities went down. So this 7 basis points basically just helps us recover some of yesterday's losses that we had right here through the afternoon and into the late afternoon here. But the bottom line, it does not look like we are in a position where we're going to see rates really improve. So if you are risk averse, if it's closing the next couple of weeks, basically look at your timing. We need to get into Wednesday's Fed meeting, and the Fed meeting is the only thing that's going to help us. So, but let's go ahead and talk about this morning's CPI inflation data. It was a smidge higher than August. August headline came in at 2.9, uh, came in at 3.0 for September. The expectations were for 3.1, and same thing with core. Core came in at 3.0, expectations were 3.1. So it's just slightly better than what was expected. We saw bonds improve a little bit to start on that, kind of a knee jerk reaction of improvement, but then they kind of settled back down, gave up about half the gain. So overall, this basically just kept things status quo. We are ending the week with rate sheets that should be pretty much the same as what we saw at the beginning of the week. We get consumer sentiment data at 10 a.m. Right now, it's 9:35. So when we get that consumer sentiment data, that could tweak things down a little bit, and as rate sheets are coming out, so it's not likely to cause much improvement, but it's possible that you could see a little bit of a reaction that could be negative if the data comes out negative. So overall, though, everything remains basically the same after the CPI data. Markets are still pricing in two cuts this year, one next week and one in December. Expectations of a January cut still a little above 50%. Really no change. This CPI data made no difference. If we want to dig deeper, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it this morning because I'm out in the woods, but the owner's equivalent rent came in lower, much lower, like similar to what we saw in 2021. That's a housing related one where if a homeowner were to rent their house, what would it rent for? And there's arguments that we're starting to see the immigration crackdown help the rental market. It's not going to help the purchase market as much, but it's supposedly helping the rental market. There's less demand, and therefore you'll see rent prices come down a little bit. I don't know if that's necessarily true. Sometimes this data just seems kind of collected, but not right. No real concerns. Again, as I talked about yesterday, no concerns that the CPI data is not legit. That data that came in was gathered all through September. So we didn't have a government shutdown. And then the people that were recalled in the Bureau of Labor Statistics basically were compiling and interpreting and all of that data. So where we're really going to see an effect will be next month because they're not collecting CPI data right now. So they're not going to have anything to really form that CPI data for October when we get that November report. And it's funny because I actually saw Bloomberg. I talked about that yesterday, and I saw somebody on Bloomberg, one of the talking heads, bring up that same thing. So that's what we got there. Yeah. Good morning, Mr. Tickle. Yep. Outdoorsman. I love the outdoors though. But anyway, so as we get through Friday, there's no urgency to lock anything. However, we have a lot riding on next week's Fed meeting, and it's not the meeting itself, it's Powell's press conference, right? But we've talked about the reasons why rates are capping out. The technicals, we're not seeing bonds get any more push. Mortgage-backed securities, that 5.5 coupon has been bouncing around that 101.30 level right there, 101.29. Again, it doesn't matter. But it's right there. We have not seen it break through and hold. It was barely above for a day, but didn't hold. 10-year Treasury just flirting below that 4.0 mark, but it's not moving lower. We haven't dropped into 3.9 to 3.9, 3.8, anything. We're not seeing it move lower. What would have to happen to get that? Well, we'd have to have some kind of data, something, and we don't have any of that. We're not getting the data. We would have to get a jobs report that showed, significant weakness, but we're not going to have, even if we get a BLS jobs report, it would be, again, data collected through the shutdown, so they're not collecting the data. So this is going to be kind of a unique one. Plus, I don't think we're going to have the government shutdown solved before that BLS report would come out in November. I don't know what the date is. I have to look. I don't have the calendar out here in the woods. So Randy said the same Powell who drenched our last rally. Yeah, and that's kind of it. Nope, not a new hat, sir. This is the same hat that I wear quite a bit. Just my nice brown wool felt hat. It even says wool felt. There you go. So keeping the head warm in the cold weather. So yeah, I don't think that next week's Fed meeting is going to help rates, but it's possible if you want to keep our options open. Loans that have time that don't close until after November, at least we have no urgency that we're going to see rates move higher. But it's unlikely right now. It does not look like we're going to see rates really move lower. We need something to happen to cause it to happen. Right now, markets are fully pricing in the Fed rate cuts. They're pricing in inflation the way that we've seen it. There's really no reason to expect bonds to improve, which would bring better rates. It's not there yet. So, um, good luck with trying to convince consumers of that, but that's kind of where we're at. So, anyway, I am going to wrap it up today. And thank you all for joining me again. Here's a quick look out here. It's beautiful out here in the woods. And I am glamping. I'm not tent camping. Camping in the, however, the bed on that thing is like sleeping on the floor. It is a thin little pad on a thing and not much to it. I'm getting old for that shit, but it's still a lot of fun. So, my hat looks blue gray. Oh yeah, it's just the lighting. No, it's my brown hat. Just my brown hat. So, all right, y'all. Well, have a fantastic weekend. I, of course, am going to go and do some stuff here in Chattanooga with my wife and some friends that are camping in this same campground. They all have campers. We always rent the cabins because I don't want a camper. So, 83 degrees by Segaloff. Where are you, dude? Are you? I don't know. Also, if you're in Fuse, have fun at Fuse today. All right. Hopefully, you guys are rocking it. I see my numbers are down a little, so I know we're missing some Fuse people. Some names that I don't see on here, I know that are at Fuse. So hopefully, they have a fantastic day. All right, everybody. Take care. I will see you on Monday. Goodbye, my friends.